Hey, what's up? I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. And you might hear it a little bit. I had the flu this week, or maybe not the flu, just a heavy cold. Honestly, I have no idea what the difference is between those two, but whatever it was, I had it bad and I haven't been very productive this week. Well, I've been producing a bunch of things, but that shouldn't be shown on camera because it came out of this area of my body. And alright, enough details. Don't really have much to talk about from last week, which I usually do in my videos, but luckily last week's video I talked about my framework and I also showed you a bunch of stuff about, and I still don't know why my accent is going all directions. It's the cold still, I think. I also happened to show a little shot where I had a bunch of leftover projects that never really amounted to anything and never got released or anything. And some people asked about those. So I figured let's do a video about those things. There are some interesting things there. I just did a little look if I had enough content to talk about. So let's dive into those projects and see what they were, why they never were created, or were they created but just never released under the Orangepixel brand. That's a little spoiler, because the answer is obviously yes, some of them got released, just not as an Orangepixel game. After the intro. Okay, so let me quickly find that folder, source code and workspace concepts. Now, these dates are just because of the last time I copied them to the next cloud. Some of these games, or most of these games, I think, or all of these, are, I think, 10 years old, if not older. Most of them, or again, all of them were before I started using libgdx. So I can't really run these games anymore because I don't have the tools set up to do that. But we can at least look into some of these things. Let's start just with the top one, the ARG. Honestly, for some of these projects, I have no idea what I was doing. Usually I have a temp GFX map, which is where I design stuff. And this looks like the concept one. Let's open it up first. This looks like a sequel to one of my older games. I had a game called Drill Panic, Super Drill Panic, where you would go drop down and there would be a drill coming at you from above. And I think this was just the platform version of it. I think this could still be a fun idea actually to make. The drill would be moving from left towards right, obviously, and then you have to run and make sure you didn't trip or fall, whatever, because the drill would catch up on you and eventually kill you. I'm not sure how far I got with this. I have a couple of other characters. Well, this is just the main character animation and map. Does it? All right, a map layout. If I would do this now, I would probably do this procedurally, design it, and not just lay it out like this. I mean, this is literally my level editor at that time. It was a GIMP image, rasterized at 16 by 16 pixels. And with these numbers, I would then enter data into the game code. And that was the level. I mean, it works. And at some point, your map level edit stuff, your map data is actually becoming data. So it doesn't matter how you do it. This was just not the fastest way to do it. But it was one way to do it. So that's ARC. Like I said, I can't really run it. Did I have tiles for it as well? Yeah, this is pretty much everything that's in the mock-up image split up into separate areas and things. And I'm fairly sure that I grabbed most of these graphics from various of my other games in development at that time. So I think this could actually still be an interesting game idea. Just fairly simplistic platformer, run and have a drill following you. So interesting idea, just not. Yeah, I think that's why it never evolved into an actual game. It's not special enough, and at some point I stepped away from making these oversimplistic games and started trying to come up with bigger games. Not sure if that was the best thing to do, because bigger games usually require more work. But also the world of games evolved, so at some point you just have to actually change the type of games you're making. Bounce Bro, I have no idea what this is about. there's actually a title screen. Well, this is the Chrono and Cache. Yeah, usually when I start a new project, I copy and paste my previous project. So this was apparently being created after Chrono and Crash, or Chrono and Cache. So that also means most of these things are not from, yeah, they are not from Bounce Brothers, whatever I was planning to go for. Maybe we can find something here. But I think this is all, yeah, still this. I'm not sure if that's Chrono and Cache, but yeah, Chrono and Cache. There, I apparently had an interesting name for a game. I just never really did anything with it. Or it's possible that Bounce Brothers ended up being Chrono and Cache, but I doubt that. So I don't think, I just created this project folder, but just didn't do anything with it. That's my best guess. DA game. Alright, this is another Drill Panic type, because this character is literally the character from Drill Panic. It's the vertical thing. So Super Drill Panic did pretty well, and I guess I figured I could do more with it in sequels or other things, and I kind of like the looks of this. This looks interesting. So it wasn't a bad idea, but maybe just not, I don't know, maybe something for in the future, still something to do. A mock-up is probably the same thing, yeah. Lasers, it kind of looks cool and interesting and inviting to play it with ammo pickups and enemies. Just never got around to finish it or keep working on it. And there's a lot of these things, I have no idea why I stopped working on it. Probably because another idea came along. A Goldfish, a game called Goldfish. What is this? It's alright, not all my ideas are great. I should have started the video with that. Not all my game ideas are great. Some are just perhaps terrible. A goldfish in a bowl sinking down. And as you can see, a lot of these games were designed for vertical gameplay. Early days of Android and smartphones. And yeah, that was just the most logical way to play games. So these games would also have never worked on PC or consoles. I would have really had to change them. These are PSP images. That means not Photoshop, but PaintShop Pro. That's like really old. I used it before I used GIMP. Hotel. I think this game was designed, yeah, you would actually build a hotel, or build a hotel, and then people would start entering those rooms, and you would have to add stuff to the room. Sort of a management type game. But honestly, I had no experience with management games. I still don't have any experience with it. So yeah, there could be something here, but I just never pursued it or just didn't see it or find it. And this is actually a completely different idea. This would be elevator action type game, which is a very old 80s game. I kind of like this more than the hotel game. This actually now has two games in one folder. This is a completely other design than the one I just like. This one is proper hotel game. This is an action game. Both are interesting. I like the graphic style or the character style I used back in those days. So I should really look into that. See if I can maybe reuse that in new games. We did a lot of stuff. I already started doing procedural stuff here because, well, we needed multiple type of characters. So we made them up with different colors and bodies and hairstyles and eyes and walk animations. So there was a lot there. I think just my lack of experience doing management games made this project die out for some reason. It's just... sometimes you got an idea for a certain game, but if you just don't have the experience to push it through or follow it through, then it dies at some point. Hyperboy. I remember this one. Let me close some old files here. This is pretty much based on an old Spectrum game, Jetpack. Yeah, and that's it. But I think I recreated a game. I think it got pretty far in development, with at least one level playable. Just that sometimes old games from the 80s don't really work or aren't as much fun in modern times, and you need to tweak them and change them. And again, this is probably my inexperience of not understanding or knowing how to improve on it, so I gave up on it. That's why I have all these projects lingering on here on my hard drive. At some point you have ideas, and you actually made multiple levels. I now remember I had multiple levels for the game, but it just wasn't fun enough. And in those days I would make games in 1, maybe 2 months, so it's not like a huge amount of time wasted. I would have this all up and running in 1 or 2 months time. So worst case, I would have wasted 1 or 2 months and then have another game ready for the month after, because I would have graphics that I might have been reusing here and there. So it's not a huge waste of time, but as my project started becoming bigger and I got more experience, I have less of these project folders lingering around. The last couple of years, every prototype I started, I think everyone got released, or I'm still working on it. Agents of Ooze is the only one that's right now when I'm working on Haragoshi with it. We're still trying to figure out what makes it interesting. I started working on that again last week. That's the only one right now that isn't certain or sure where we're going with it, but all my other projects in recent years have just, whatever I decided to do ended up being a game. So I think that's experience, and over time you get more of it and you get better at it, and you also know if something isn't working, how to tweak and change and maybe improve on it. So this Infinite Raider, some sort of turn-based adventure game type thing. Yeah, not sure what was going on here. I think literally just yeah, turn-based stuff with some other game mock-ups in there as well. An interface. A multiplayer game even. I might have tried to create a multiplayer game here, but that was just interface. I don't think I ever got anywhere with it. So not sure what these are, the animations. That's from a completely different game again. Yeah, that's Meganoid. So I'm not sure. It looks colorful, interesting. Also pretty boring, maybe. That run around, grab stuff. A little bit simplistic, I think. I'm sorry, I'm just amazed at what I create. I can't really recall creating these games or some of these games, which is weird. I mean, it's been over a decade, but still. Like working on it for 1 or 2 months a decade ago, it's not my brain leaving me behind here. It's just, it was probably too short of a development cycle to actually remember it. This is Gunslugs. What is it doing in Jumpy 2? Oh, Jumpy 1 got released pretty close to Gunslugs 1, and then I guess I wanted to create a new Jumpy game, but doesn't look like I created much. I just copied the Gunslugs folder, guessing I would build it on the new Gunslugs engine, but I never got anything really made with it. So that moves up to Level Up, which is just the same as Infinity Raider, it looks like. This looks like it should be here. So I'm guessing Level Up is where these graphics belong, and Infinite Raider is something else, but I just don't have any mock-up images for it. That makes sense. Little Rogue. That sounds like... I think this is Groundskeeper, or related to the original Groundskeeper. You would be attacked from left and right, and you would just hit these guys left and right on a single screen, gain experience points and coins and stuff, and upgrade yourself, I think. And there's probably not a lot of extra art. Yeah, just enemies. Very simple, again, a simple concept, probably the reason it never got released. I should start wrapping up this video because my throat is hurting like crazy. Noah's Quest 1 got released. It's a duels type game, and I guess I was trying to create a Noah's Quest 2 with different graphic set. I actually like these animals, but never got released. Just lost interest in it completely. Pac-Man RPG, which would have been renamed before I released it, because you obviously can't use the word Pac-Man. I remember I had this playable. It was literally Pac-Man, but in a dungeon with coins and swords and treasures and monsters. Just Pac-Man, but replace the ghosts with monsters and the super pills with swords and items like that. I think it's an interesting concept, but also it's at the end just Pac-Man. Not sure it's an interesting enough game, especially on mobile. It wasn't really nice to play. I remember that one. It could probably do better on PC with a gamepad hooked up to it. Maybe some better graphics, because this was really quickly done. So a Pac-Man RPG. Puyo 2. Interesting project. I had to look this up yesterday on the Discord. Somebody asked about these things, and I remember working on Puyo 2. I just never remembered what happened with it. It wasn't my game. It was another company's game. Puyo 2. Well, let me see. Images maybe. Puyo. Yes, there it is. Pretty much this game was an iPhone game, and they wanted a version for Android, and from what I recall, I created that Android version. And well, obviously I have the source code, I have everything here. It's not a, oh, not clicking there, whatever. It's another duels game, so I had experience with it, had a little engine for it, so I could easily remake it. This wasn't a porting from the core code, the Object-C code over to Android Java code. I rewrote it based on what I saw was happening. I think back in the day that was the most common way to port games from one platform to the other. Yeah, it got released, it did well. I got paid for it, one-time fee. That's actually how I know it got released, because I looked back at my revenue stuff, and there was payment from the publisher. So I know this game was a job I did. I did many jobs back in the day when I just started Orangepixel in the early, like in the first 5 or 6 years. Whenever there was a project that I could do, I do it. It would give me some money to work on my own games, pretty much. So there are more games out there that I created, just don't have the credits for. But I think this game is already gone from the market, and I think both the publisher and original developer aren't around anymore. Just me, so I can talk about it about now, I think. Another Drill Panic. I really love Drill Panic, apparently. Or what is this called? Pocket Adventure. Then this is probably the mock-up for Pocket Adventure. Another dungeon crawler type thing. I just love dungeon crawlers and tried a bunch of them, and not everything works. But what do we have over here? That's Chrono and Cash. Do we have any stuff that looks like it should be from this game? Cave, Horizontal is all Chrono and Cash, and no, there's no artwork here for whatever it is. I think Predicament was a game jam game. Maybe I wanted to try to recreate it on Android, because originally it was an HTML game, and that might have happened there. Replay. Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine. Replay. It looks like another horizontally moving adventure type thing. I'm guessing that if you died, you had to come back with lesser skills or something. Replay, I don't know. Something in that area. Skater Boy. He was a skater boy. Again, looks like a Groundskeeper type thing. And I have no idea. Slider Kids XS. Slider Kids is an old game I made on pre-smartphones, which was pretty cool. I like the interface stuff here. Maybe I was trying to recreate it, except Slider Kids was on sliding downwards and this is horizontal, so I'm not sure what I was doing here. It never amounted to anything. Soft Games is actually a company that I think they are still around. There's nothing in here. I remember that I did a lot of game development for Soft Games back in the day. At one point I created 10 games in 10 months for them, for a commercial project of a German TV show or network, whatever, which was insane. Honestly, it was crazy, but I managed to pull it off. I should have probably made a lot more money on that, but my business skills weren't that well, or I thought it was more than enough money for what I was doing. But I'm fairly sure I could have asked a lot more for what I actually accomplished in those 10 months. There were platformers, there were sporting games, there were just so much stuff surrounding a kids TV show with characters and all that stuff. Very interesting to do. Wouldn't do that ever again, because 10 months or 10 games in 10 months, besides still doing my own games here and there, and I repurposed some of the games I made for them, added new graphics to it and released them as Orangepixel games, just so I actually had new games being released under my own brand at that time. It was crazy. I was also 10 years younger than I am now, or maybe 30 years younger than I am now, but in those 10 months I aged 20, something like that. It was crazy and insane, and I wouldn't really do that again. Super Bounce game is the next project. We're almost at the end. I think this eventually turned into Bounce Brothers, which got released, or maybe this was just for a sequel type thing. Not sure. The art style is interesting. This would just be the high-res art for the artwork, and the mock-up, of course, is whatever is going on here. Yeah, this character is from Bounce Brothers. It looks interesting. That game got released. Not sure if it's this folder or just a sequel to it or something. Super Stardash, obviously a sequel to Stardash. Stardash was my Game Boy type version of a platformer, and here I was trying to recreate it, but then in the 16-bit version, Super Stardash. More colors and all that stuff. I just was kind of a little bit done with platform games at that point in time, so this never got released. Looks very nice, looks like a lot of chocolate for some reason. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. This is actually art from the original Stardash. It would have been very easy, but I think I was just done with doing these platformers at that point in time. Treasure Quest. Again, these same graphics, but I think this game actually got a little bit further, and eventually this concept turned into Sir Questionnaire. So a lot of time was wasted. Well, this is Jumpy too, apparently. A lot of time got wasted on this, and again Jumpy. But eventually this concept was improved and returned as Sir Questionnaire, which got released and did pretty well. So yeah, I think that covers my project folder, and I probably have a few more on external hard drives, but for now let's leave it at that. Alright, as my voice is leaving me, I'm gonna be leaving you. Thanks for watching this video. Hope it was interesting. If not, I'm sorry. I'll try to make more interesting videos again once this all clears up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Drop by the Discord, like, comment below, all that stuff, and I'll see you next week. Alright, bye.